there. Okay. Okay, for 26, Devin buys lumber to build a deck. Lumber costs $1,200. Sales tax is 7%. How much does Devin have to pay for the supplies? So, sales tax, is that a discount or is that money added to what you've got to pay? Added to, right? So, this lumber is not on sale. Devin has to pay 100% of the cost of that lumber. So he's got to pay $1,200 for the lumber. Plus, he's got to pay an extra 7% in sales tax. So he's got to pay an extra 7%, which means that he's paying 107% of the price of the lumber. All right. And so, Hayden, 107%. What would that be as a decimal? What'd you say? Not 1.7. It'll be 1 point. When you move this decimal place 2 places, that 0 is still there. So it'll be 1.07. Okay. Zeros on the very end are not necessary. So like if you had a 0 right here, you wouldn't have to write that. But that 0 in the middle, you have to hold on to. So it'd be 1.07. You just take that decimal, which it doesn't have one, but it would be at the end of the number. And you move it 2 places to the left, so you get 1.07. All right, so this is 107%. When you pay 100% of the cost plus 7% sales tax, you're paying 107% of the cost. So we could do sales tax separately. We could add it back. But right here, we're going to have, if we do it this way, we just have to do 1,200 times 1.07. And whenever you do that, 1,200 times 1.07, 1284. Okay. See why it's a little more important to figure sales tax on things that cost a little bit more. If you go buy a pack of gum, sales tax is just a few cents, right? But if you're buying $1,200 worth of lumber, sales tax is $84. So you got to make sure you've got that extra money to cover that sales tax on that. So, questions? Now, I could have done it this way, because probably if you guys had done it on your own before I showed you how to do this, you probably would have done 1,200 times 0.07, and you got a sales tax of $84, and then you could add it back, and if you do 1,200 plus 84, then you'd get 1284. So that works. It's really not that much more work, but I do want you to do the problem this way because it leads into what we're doing for exponentials. Okay, for exponentials we have to do things this way. Okay, try the next one on your own. Ella has $1. A pack of chewing gum costs 95 cents. Sales tax is 6.5%. Does Ella have enough money to buy the gum? So try that one on your own. Okay. Adam, what would we need to do for this one? Okay. How did you do that? What? Okay. All right. Okay. So she would need 6.175 cents for tax, which they're going to round that up to 7 cents in a store. So she would need 7 more cents. She only has like 5 extra cents to deal with here, right? So it would not be enough. Now, this will work, but I do want us to start trying to use this shortcut where it automatically adds the tax back in. So if we're doing it that way, you start off, you're adding 100, you have to pay 100% of the price, right? And we have to pay an extra, do that. right, so that's 106.5%. And usually I'm doing all this in my head. I don't usually write it down. I'm just writing it down for your benefit. And then if we move the decimal 2 places, that's 1.065. So basically I'm just putting a 1 out front of what you multiplied by, right? And that automatically adds back that 100%. So if I do that, 0.95 times 1.065, 0.95 times, oh, gracious, 1.065 gave us 1.01175, I think. And in a store, if you ever really notice, anytime it goes over a cent, they'll just round it up. They don't really round properly. They round up every time. So they're going to charge you $1.02. So the answer here is no, she does not have enough money. Okay. But if you're at a gas station buying a pack of gum, sometimes they've got this little tray right here and it's got like extra change in it. So if that little tray has 2 pennies in it, in that change bowl next to the counter, then can Ella buy the gum? Yes. So she could, if she had 2 extra cents, she would be able to buy the gum. So if she's sitting there calculating and she really wants that chewing gum, but only has $1, this is how she could figure out. Okay, let's keep going. All right, Lakin is going to buy a TV while Black Friday shopping. The TV costs $450, but is 20% off for Black Friday. Sales tax is 6.75%. How much does Lakin pay for the TV? Also, you'll notice I'm using like different numbers for sales tax everywhere. That's because sales tax is different everywhere. I think right now, if you buy something in Surry County, it's going to be 7%. But there's like a base state sales tax, and then each county can add their own sales tax to it. So you might buy something in Surry County and sales tax be 7%. I haven't checked my receipts lately to see if it's still the same. But you might go to Winston and it only be 6.5, or it might be 7.25. And different states have different things about sales tax. Some of them may have higher sales tax. Some may have lower sales tax. I think there are, I don't know if that's true. There might be states that don't have it at all. Is that true? I'll look it up here in a second. When you're working on something. So sales tax is different everywhere that you go. So if you look at the bottom of your receipt, it'll tell you what the percentage is. Also, you might know in North Carolina what your sales tax on food is. What? 2%. So on food in North Carolina, sales tax is only 2%. Now that doesn't count if you go to like a restaurant and get something, but at the grocery store or even the gas station, food is only 2% tax. They keep that lower because if you have people having a hard time even affording food, they're not taxing it quite as heavily as they do other items. Because in general, those other items are more likely to be like a TV that's not necessary for you to live. Although some of you might disagree. So let's do this problem. Now, this one's going to have to be 2 steps, and you always want to do, well, I'll tell you, it doesn't really matter which order because you're multiplying. But you're paying sales tax on what has been discounted. So you want to do the discount first and then do the sales tax in these situations. Technically, you are going to get the same answer either way on this. If you did have sales tax that was different, like you had some things that were food and some things that were not, then it might change that. But let's always do the discounts first. So I've got a $450 TV. Cole, what do I need to multiply that by if I want to know how much it's going to cost after the discount? And we're going to do a shortcut. Okay, so I could multiply it by the 20%, but that'll tell me the discount. Let's do 80%. That gives us a shortcut so we don't have to do that subtraction part. So if I do 450 times 0.8, what do I get, Cole? Okay. All right, but now I've got to pay sales tax on that $360. Okay, so sales tax, I've got to pay 100% of the price, the 100% of 360, plus 6.75%, and I'm usually doing all this in my head. I don't write it down. Okay, so that's 106.75%. What is that as a decimal, Cole? Perfect. So we take our 360 and multiply by 1.0675. And whenever we do that, we get 384.3. Since this is money, I'm going to slap a 0 on the end there so that it looks right. Okay, questions? All right, try the next one on your own. Okay, let's go and buy a new pair of tennis shoes. They're supposed to cost $120, but they're 60% off, which is a really good deal. Sales tax is 7%. How much does she have to pay for the shoes? And try to use that shortcut. Okay, so let's look at this one. As I walked around, I saw a lot of you that weren't even writing anything down but the answer. Because you can do it pretty quick in the calculator without even having to write anything down. Obviously, I'm writing stuff down up here so everybody can see what I'm doing. But you can do these pretty quick in the calculator. That's why it's helpful if you are out shopping. Just get out your phone. You can figure it up really quick. So for this one, Ian, what would I do first? Start off with $120. What would you do first? Very good. And why'd you do 40 instead of 60? Very good. And what did you get whenever you did that? $48. Okay. So the sale price is $48, but you still got to pay sales tax, right? So we're going to take that $48, and what did you have to multiply that by, Ian? Good. Good. So 1.07, and you can do that part in your head, not write down the sign. And what do you get for your total price? Can't read your own writing, can you? All right, so $51.36 would be the cost of the shoes. And if you think about the cost, always make sure it's reasonable, because that if they used to cost $120, that's really cheap for those shoes. But 60% off is more than half, and half off would be $60. So $51.36 seems pretty reasonable as an answer, and it is because it's right.
What if we added the percentages and just did the 100 minus 67, and then we got that, and then we did 120 times point the minus 20? What if we did that?
So you're saying multiply by, say it again.
So if we add 60 plus 7,
Uh-huh.
and then we do 100 minus 67 to find what we're paying.
It's seven added. It's subtracted. Like, those are opposites, right? So, like, you're paying 40% of the price, and then we're adding 7. But I'm pretty sure it doesn't work if we multiply by, like, 47, because, or 0.47. Let's try it just to make sure. I don't think that works. And the reason that is, it doesn't work. And the reason is that it is because you got to do that first. You got to take that discount first, because that lowers the amount. If you do if you multiplied it by 47%, then it's taking 7% of the 120. And you don't have to pay 7% of the 120. You pay 7% of the discounted price. But now, I will show you this. You can do this. Because what you did is you took 120 and you multiplied it by 0.4. And you took that number and you multiplied it by 1.07. So you can do it all in one line. 120 times 0.4 times 1.07. Like that, and get the answer right away. So you can do it that way, but you can't add them together, because it'll be taking all those percentages of the original and not of the discounted price. That's a good question, though. Because as mathematicians, we want to always look for the shortest possible way to do anything. That's kind of what math does for you. It makes it easier to calculate those things. All right, questions on that one? Okay. Realtors. I think we talked about realtors a little bit, getting paid on commission. Did we talk about that? So a realtor is paid on commission. So whenever they sell a house, they get a percentage of the price that they sell that house for. Typically, I think it's like 2, 3, 4% is what a realtor is going to get. If a realtor sells a house that costs $210,000 and they get a 3% commission on the sale, how much money does she make? Okay, so tell me how you did that, Cole. Very good. And what did you say you got? Okay, so $6,300 for selling that one house. All right. So in this case, we're not doing any shortcuts. We're not adding to. We're not taking away, because we just need to find 3% of 210,000. So if you just need to find a percent of something, you just multiply. Something like being a realtor is scary to me, because obviously when you sell houses, you make lots of money. But like, if you go a few months without selling any houses, then you might be broke. Yeah. You would definitely, if you were a salesman, you would need to be conservative with your money and save it up, and not, I know that I've probably told you guys this, my brother-in-law works for a company that builds like a lot of subdivision houses, and they have reps that sell, he is on the construction end, he builds the houses. But they have reps that go out and like sell the houses, and those salesmen, he says, they'll come in, like some of them that he knows, like they might get a $25,000 like bonus because they've sold a lot of houses that month, and they'll come in with a brand new car or something, and then the next month they won't sell anything, and they'll be talking about having to put their groceries on their credit card because they can't afford them. So you would definitely need to be really careful with your money. Morning, Evan. Thank you. So we're working on those notes that we started yesterday. Let me go ahead and switch you to that. What's that? Yeah, I think so. Assuming a whip is a car, I think. All right. Okay. All right. So, a car salesman made $4,000 last month. He makes a 5% commission. What is the total value of the cars that he sold last month? How much? No.
80,000.
I think so. I think it's 80. Because this one's weird, okay? $200 is 5% of the 4,000, but this one's backwards. We know 4,000 is what he was paid. So in this case, we know 4,000 is like the answer to the problem. So we know something, some amount times 0.05 has to equal 4,000. Yes. Yes. So, and I've written it this way. It's kind of like an equation, right? So this right here, that question mark, I could write it like this: 0.05 x equals 4,000. And so if you divide by 0.05, of course that would solve that equation, or you can just think of it as going backwards. And so if you do that, 80,000, is that what we get? I'm trusting you guys, so somebody double check. So I have $80,000. So if the salesman made $4,000, he sold $80,000 worth of cars. Okay. Questions? All right. So what we are going to, because we're going to work on IXL while I